Hello. As most of you that know me know, I'm a big proponent of groundwork, specifically for the purpose of helping the horse learn how to calm themselves, be present in their body, have their mind and body in the same place at the same time, be connected to their owner or handler, hi cutie, and be able to move in a way that supports their body and is biomechanically correct. Obviously, once we've done that, we want to translate that into riding. And almost everything I do on the ground, I set up in such a way that I can also use it when I am riding. Whether it's riding from the ground, whether it's teaching them how to soften and be present in their body, whether it's how to move properly, all of that we want to translate into saddle. And in order to do that, you have to know how to hold your body correctly, because horses very much, as we've learned in the groundwork, mirror us. And so if our anxiety level is high, if our stress level is high, if we hold a lot of tension in a certain part of our body, if we don't engage our own core, the horse tends to mirror that. Sunny is a prime example of that. She is very, very good at mirroring who is riding her. She's still learning under saddle. She hasn't been ridden a lot under saddle. She was an off-the-track thoroughbred that came to me with 3 injured legs, couldn't put much weight on the left hind, had no idea how to use her body. She had a upside down neck, no muscle tone, very skinny, bad coat. So I've done a lot to get her to where she is. That being said, I haven't ridden her a whole lot, simply because I've done a lot of on the ground work with her and a lot of rehab with her. And so you do get to watch this on a horse that is not perfect yet. So before I even start to ride off, I sit here and I ask the horse, can they stand here calmly? If they can't stand here calmly, generally that means they're not super comfortable with you on top of them. And so there's probably some holes that we need to fill. She's able to stand here calmly, eat a little bit of things she probably shouldn't be. So the first thing I want to think of when I want her to walk off is I want to have a plan in mind. If you play sports or if you're a musician, you know that as you are about to do something, it's best to have some sort of plan. Yes, sometimes we want to adapt, but if we just go in there with no plan of what we're going to play, whether it's sports, music, you just kind of get lost along the way. So I want to have a plan. My plan might be as simple as I just want this horse to walk off calmly. She can go wherever she wants to, but I just want her to walk and pay attention to what I'm saying. So in order for her to know that I want her to walk off, I'm going to bring my energy up, and I can bring my energy up just like I've done now. I've gotten my core engaged. I've gotten some energy throughout my body, but I haven't projected it anywhere. We've talked a little bit about this in the groundwork, but in order for the energy to mean anything, you have to direct it where you want the horse to go. So right now, my energy is kind of up and down, but I haven't projected it forward until just then. And she felt that shift. I do just a slight bit with my legs if I have to, but for the most part, I just bring my energy out and I imagine it as 7-Up bubbles pushing forward. So we're walking forward. As we're walking, you want to think about your body directing her body. That doesn't just mean the hands with the reins. That means your entire body. If you want her to collect, and true collection comes from the core and the hind end, not from the head, you need to have your core engaged. And if you want her to bend properly, you need to bend properly. As I demonstrated in another video, when I want a horse to go around the circle to the right, especially when they're starting and we're not doing any fancy moves, I need them to open their outside shoulder, that would be the one by the rail, so that they can bring their inside shoulder, yes, over there, over towards the outside, and they can have room to track correctly directly on those diagonals and bring the inside hind a little bit up and underneath them so you get a nice bend through their rib cage. Good girl. So my energy is projecting out forward. If she starts to drop that inside shoulder, I'm going to open the outside rein, open the outside rein, and I'm going to lift the inside rein. Lifting the inside rein, if you've worked with them on the ground, I almost always start by connecting my inside rein, thank you, especially when I lift it, not when I open it up and take it out to the side. I take that inside rein, good job, and I connect it to the inside hind. I know, there was a big, huge truck that went by, wasn't there? You did a good job. Thank you for thinking about it. Can you get your brain back with your body? Can you bring your brain back? You lost it. Right here. Do I need to remind? There you go. Good. So I'm going to back up just a little bit. When they're on the ground and you want their brain, to be present with their body, I will often put my hand, it's kind of hard to see from up here, in between her two eyeballs, thank you. Just a reminder, come right here. And then I slowly transition that and I'll put my hand there and then I'll put my second hand here on her withers and just kind of push down a little bit until she starts figuring out that that hand on the withers means the same thing as the hand between her eyes. And there is a lot of construction going on in my neighborhood today, so she's a little bit distracted, which is good. You get to see how we actually work this. And then the other thing I do is I need her to be able to soften in her brain. So that's why my head goes here, or my hand goes here. And as I said, I translate that into a hand on her withers. Thank you. So I need her to be able to soften in her brain. I also need her to be able to soften and hinge right here. So that would be the reins right along her neck. And I'm just going to lift them a little bit. Yes. Nope, don't pull, please. Thank you. Just going to see if I can get her to pay a little bit of attention. Thank you. Good. Good. I know, all the construction trucks going by. Good. So if I want her to hinge here, I just lift the reins right here. Yes. And then that neck should hinge down a little bit and we should drop. Nope, we're not going out that door. Thank you. Good. And then the other place that I want her to hinge at is the pole. And eventually all I should have to do is kind of lift my fingers a little bit to have her hinge at the pole. But right now she's still learning that. So I can actually lift my hands, I'll ask her to stop, straight up. And I just want her to think about her pole, which we're not at the moment. It's all right. We'll just wait. Put a hand here. She's asking if this is the right thing. We almost softened just a little bit, so I'm going to let it go. I know, construction, dump trucks, garbage trucks, so much going on today. And as I've talked about before, or mentioned before, my videos are always raw, unedited. You see exactly what's happening in a training session. That means they don't always go perfectly. Things are not always quiet around here. Yeah, I need you to pay attention and break at that pole right there. Can you soften at that pole? Yes, there it went. Good job. Yeah, I don't suggest continuing to back up there. Good. So before we move on, I want to make sure I have her brain back. Good. Good job. Because if their brain is off somewhere else, you're not going to teach them anything. If they're in fight, flight, or freeze, if they're in that sympathetic nervous system, if you're in fight, flight, or freeze, if you're in your sympathetic nervous system, you aren't going to learn anything. Yeah, there's the girls. Say, hi, Ellie. Hi there. And it's the same with the horses. We can keep them moving. We can keep trying to work with things. They're not going to learn anything if their brain is not present and if they're stuck in fight, flight, or freeze. So we have to bring them out of fight, flight, or freeze. Thank you. Before we can move on, good job, and actually teach her something. So when I want her to go forward, again, my energy moves forward. Yes, you are going to have to go forward over that log. Good. And if she doesn't listen, I put a little bit of pressure with my legs. And I also, when I want her to go forward, I want her to move from her hind end. I want her to push with her hind end. So that means if I want her to push from her hind end, and if I want her to bring her inside hind kind of up and underneath herself, I'm going to push from there. Good job. My hind end, and I'm going to bring the inside leg would be my right leg, her right hind right now. And I'm going to kind of bring that up and under. Good job. Myself. Good girl. Very good. And when I push from back here, rather than just squeezing with the legs, rather than sitting down hard in that saddle, when I push from my hind end, I almost sit back just a little bit, and that lifts my pelvis. It tilts my pelvis just a little bit up front, which is good, because if you want her to collect, bring her back up. If you're sitting down really hard in that saddle, you're asking her to lift her back up, engage her core. But at the same time, if you're sitting down really hard in that seat, you're pushing her back down. So you're basically telling her, bring that back up, engage your core, while at the same time, the other part of your body is telling her, nope, stay down there. Arch your back, which is not what we want. Hollow out your back. We don't want that. So you want to make sure that you're sitting correctly. You're sitting down in that saddle with the back end, lifting your pelvis a little bit in the front end. They need to be able to have those shoulders free in order to move smoothly. What do you see? And without getting a brace in their body, without getting sticky. And so we need to do everything in our power, good, to actually allow that to happen. What do you see? Yeah, I know there's construction everywhere. There's deer everywhere. There's turkey everywhere. There's so many things to see, aren't there? Can you bring your brain back? Thank you. Good. Ready? I think we're all right. And walk. Good. Excellent. Good job. Now, if I want to do a tighter circle and I want her to turn, I'm actually at this point going to turn. If I want to turn left and start my circle now to the left, I'm actually going to turn into the rail, and I'm going to do that for a couple of reasons. One, the outside shoulder when we're turning left is going to be the right shoulder. And so if I try and get her to turn right to end up going left, at this point, since she's still learning, that's going to be really hard for her to be able to turn and bend without bumping what is going to be the outside shoulder, the inside shoulder, but is right now the outside shoulder. It's going to be really hard for her to open that up without banging it into the wall. So I want to make this as easy for her as I can. So I'm going to want her to open up this right shoulder right here. I'm going to want her to bring her left hind up and underneath her. And I'm going to want her to yield this outside, about to become inside shoulder, this way. So if I want her to open up this shoulder, I'm going to open up my right rein just a little bit. Again, I'm going to lift my left rein. And since I want her to bend towards, I want her rib cage to point to the right, the same as that open shoulder. So I'm going to shift my rib cage a little bit that way. I'm going to keep my shoulders fairly straight. I'm going to open this so she's able to open that shoulder. I'm going to lift this left rein and I'm going to say, can you? Yes. Turn. Yep. Keep forward momentum. Excellent job. Good girl. Very good. Switch sides with my stick. And I have a stick. You know me now. I never use a stick to smack them, to hit them, to hurt them, but I do use a stick to bring some attention to a place that they need it if they're just not paying attention. Sometimes that stick just directs the energy where I want it so that they can feel it a little bit better when they're losing their focus. Sometimes that stick, just like on the ground, becomes a wall, and I say, oh, you just blew into the wall, and so I'll have that wall there and I'll wave it a little bit, and if they run into it, we don't love that, but also you ran into the wall, it was there, it's not going to move for you. So I do sometimes ride, especially at the beginning when I'm trying to get them to figure out how to move their body correctly and they're still not 100% sure what I'm asking. I never want to ask a horse a question that they are not able to fairly easily say yes to. And so I'm going to do everything in my power to make it super clear what I am asking. So right now we're dropping that inside shoulder. So I'm going to, yes, good job. Lift that inside rein, open up the outside rein, and ask her to bend back around. Good job. Very good. Excellent. Good. And we're just going to walk along a little bit. And once I feel like she's paying attention, her brain is completely with me, then I might ask for a trot. But for right now, we're going to walk a little bit. When I want her to stop, I'm going to bring the energy totally out of my body. And all I did right there, I didn't even have to pick up on the reins. All I had to do was drop the energy out of my body. I no longer was thinking about walking. I was thinking about stopping. I sat down a teeny bit on my back end. I dropped my heels just a little bit and she stopped. And there, all I had to do, I was just literally thinking about walking and off she went. So when the horse starts learning that, I know, the flies are annoying. When the horse starts learning that your body energy and what your body is doing actually matches what they're asking, the horse's ability to go off your energy and your body movement, even to the slight degree, sometimes even when you just think something, is truly amazing. The problem is most of us, when we're riding, often have our energies crossed. It's either non-existent and we don't have any energy, or what I see all the time is you've got a horse that's concerned about something and you get on and they're dancing around and they're nervous, and because they're nervous, the human often is also nervous. And so instead of bringing their energy down, they match the horse's energy, and so they're pulling back on the reins, turning their horse in a circle, telling the horse to stop, all while their energy is through the roof. And then finally, by some miracle, we get our horse calmed down and we relax a little bit and we're walking or trotting along and we're like, horse is being great. They're super relaxed. I'm super relaxed. I think it's time for canter. And because we're relaxed and because we're not concerned, our energy level is about 0, maybe 1. It's very low. And we ask them to canter. And the horse is like, well, your energy is at 0, 1. I'll just keep plodding along. Maybe I'll trot. And we're kicking. And maybe if you use spurs, you're spurring. Maybe if you have a extra long reins or a stick, you're popping them on the rear. And finally they break into a canter. But your energy was telling them we should be slow. So our energies are often the exact opposite of what we're asking the horse to do. So when I want to walk, right now I have a pretty low walk energy. My energy is not super high, and she's matching that. If I want her to bring that walk up a little bit, I'm going to bring that walk energy a little bit up. And you saw that. Off she went. And then if I want her to go into a trot, I'm going to bring that energy up again. And off we go. And I tighten my core up, make sure she's keeping that bend. So I'm making sure, I know. I'm bending my rib cage. Good. I'm allowing my pelvis to tilt a little bit so she can come up into it. Good. And then when I wanted her to stop, my energy came all the way down and we stopped. Good girl. Excellent.